Hello everybody, this is Prowl and welcome to another Minecraft Keeping It Simple episode tutorial where we take a look at item elevators today. I'm going to, usually I go over redstone systems as part of a larger video, but item elevators are honestly used in a ton of different situations. Almost any farm or anything that you could ever want to use. If you know how to build one of these easily, you'll probably build one of these to use it. Let's look at a couple of examples. Those of you that have been keeping track of my tutorials on here, you may have already seen this one. This is a item sorter that I came up with, and it has an item input where we want to take the items from down here and we need to get them up here. That way it can go through the item sorter, right? So we throw items in and those items get sucked out and they get transported, you'll see, up there. Now this is happening via an item elevator, which you see right here. This is one of Silent Whisperer's design. The one I'm using is very similar to his. It was inspired by him, but with just a minor change or two in it. But as you can see how it works, it's just shooting items into here. Very, very good for farms, storage systems, and other reasons or ways that you may want to move items around. So let's go back and let's take a look at what we had built over there again. These systems are quite simple. You take any item, you throw it into a hopper that will be going into a dropper right here, and like magic, it shoots it and gets it up to the top just like this. Very nice little system, works perfectly, and it'll get those items wherever you need them to go. It'll take them up vertically as high as you need to take them, and then at that point you can put it into a chest, or you can put it to a water stream, or a lot of different things. You can see here that if you have a chest on the top, like if I go through and place this chest right here, grab those items back out. Let me fill this back up again. As you can see, they're actually going into the chest now. They're not just sitting on top. You can have a water stream there, a hopper, a lot of different things. But let's actually take a look at how to build this, and we'll explain, like we always do, all of the components and why this magical thing works the way that it does. Okay, so as we build this, we are going to explain how it works kind of one piece at a time. We're going to start with the dropper. The dropper, all it simply does is when it gets power from redstone, it'll shoot a item in whatever direction the dropper face is facing. In this case, if there is another dropper that it's facing into, it shoots that item into the other dropper. Let's just have a little bit of fun. Let's go through and let's place this system right there just like that. And then now we need a way to make this thing work, and we need a way to feed it items. So we're going to make an item input by facing a hopper into it. And we could place a chest on that, but for what I'm about to do here, you guys will see in a moment, we're not going to put a chest on there. Now we need a way to see anytime something goes into this dropper. That's what your comparator does. Whoops. Don't drop it on the ground either. The comparator simply can take a look and see, okay, there's an item in there. I'm going to turn on. The more items that you put in there, the stronger of a redstone signal I am going to give you. In this particular case, we're not going to be putting a lot of items in there, so that part doesn't matter. But just know that that's kind of what the comparator does. It gives a stronger signal the more items that are in. Now, we're going to use that comparator to actually... we'll leave that here for now, but we're going to end up replacing the block under it in a little bit. I don't want to jump ahead of myself for you guys. Just know that we're going to take that comparator up in a little bit. We're going to have that comparator send a signal to this block right here. It is actually going to give this block power, and when it powers a block and you put redstone on the other side of it, the signal doesn't just stop at this block. It actually takes that one redstone signal strength and it transfers it here. If I were to then go right here, you see it doesn't go any further than that, but it gets that signal to right there, which is exactly what we need. Now, since this piece of redstone dust, you see how it's kind of got this X or star or cross like pattern, it will actually send signal in any of these directions. You see here, I can put a piece of redstone right there. It's not going to give that a signal because it can't extend it out any further, but this block does have power. You see if I put this repeater right there, see it is getting power. So that's good. We need that, right? We need to take the power from this block and we need to redirect it back this way with a repeater, because the repeater is what can get that signal. And then we're going to put a piece of redstone right there, just like that. So now you see that this has now made a clock. To go over clocks really briefly, we're not going to spend a lot of time on them. A clock is just very simply the repeating of a redstone signal. If I take this comparator, redstone, redstone, redstone. You see it is blinking really fast. In this case, this one's working because we put it in subtraction mode. It is taking this signal of 15 and then it's subtracting it by 14, 13. It is subtracting it down to 13 and then making it output a 15 minus 13 signal, which is 2. And that's not strong enough to make it all the way around. It turns the clock off, but then it keeps getting powered again by this redstone torch. So it just continually makes this motion of the clock-like motion, the pulsing of the redstone. Okay. We're using that similar technology right here. We've created a clock, which is important because this clock is what's going to power our tower of droppers here. So just for now, I don't want this pulsing yet. We're going to take that out. That way we got rid of the pulse. And then we need to do a little bit of work underneath here, just a little bit. Let's take all of that out. So another thing that I can make note of to you guys, if I put this right here and we put this back in real quick, if you see here, this redstone right here is actually getting powered as well. That's because this is powering this block and this block. So since those have power, they can actually transfer that power to that piece of redstone. Now, we're not going to use a piece of redstone there, though. We're actually going to use a repeater. We're using a repeater. That way, if we wanted to, we could put multiple of these side by side, and those systems wouldn't interrupt each other. They wouldn't cross lines. Although, if you are only going to use one of these, you're not going to put multiple of them side by side. A piece of redstone dust is just fine. You don't have to use the repeater. All right, now I said we were going to replace this guy right here real quick. So let's actually do that. Let me take this out. Let's X him out really quick. Let's take an observer and put an observer facing in this direction. So the face is looking forward. That observer can see every time something happens to this redstone, every time it gets an update, and it then will send a signal to power this. So I'm going to demonstrate one more time again how that works. I could take this, put it in here, and as you can see, this is now sending power to this, which is powering this. That powers this block. This repeater gets the power from that block and makes a clock. We already talked about clocks. It continually makes this thing pulse or keep sending that signal around. This redstone dust is being powered by both this and this at the same time. It doesn't really necessarily matter which one it comes from. And this observer sees that that is powering on and off, and then it is sending its own signal back here. But that signal being a piece of redstone doesn't help us any because that redstone cannot power this dropper. But watch what happens if I get rid of that and put a block here. It stopped. Why did it stop? It stopped because the observer sent power to this redstone. Not to this redstone. It sent redstone power to this block, and then it powered this dropper. That block sent power to this dropper, making it drop its item. It shot the item up here to this right here. So now we need to be able to take that. We got it to that point, right? We can go through and I could throw these in. Look, it keeps sending them up. It's not going to go up any higher than that though. We need to solve that problem next. Now to do that, we're going to use a similar thing that we've done here, and we're going to apply that all the way up to this. So what we need to do is we need to take a block. We just need to run a set of solid blocks all the way up to the top, just like that. Then we're going to take a row of observers and face them in this direction. All the faces of those observers are looking this way, you see? Now we need to make these observers see something to then send power to this block, to then send power to this dropper to send an item up, okay? So you can see that that's where this is going to come into play. We need to get this redstone signal right here. So what we can do is we can face an observer looking down like this. Now that's looking at that redstone. So that means that it's going to send a power signal up right here. Now I want to show you something real quick. Whenever this gets power, see that guy right there flickers. It gets power. So now we can just create a chain with this. That will now see that flicker, which will make this one flicker, which will then allow this guy right here to see it, which will then make this one flicker, etc., etc. And we will, sorry about the video freeze right there, send that signal all the way up just like this, so it goes up in a chain. So now what you can see is I can go through, put these guys in here, and you can see it's going to cycle them up. And then in this case, I have this thing shooting the torches forward, and those torches are then dropping back down and going into the system. It's creating a little bit of a loop. But as you can see, that is an item elevator in a nutshell. Silent Whisperer's version that I showed you guys earlier works almost in the same way. It's just a little bit bigger footprint. I made this one as a little bit smaller footprint. But again, I'm going to link Silent's video below to his tutorial. Make sure you check that out because that's where I got the inspiration for this one. But that's an item elevator in a nutshell. They're pretty easy to work. They're actually pretty easy to understand too once you know all the components. Hopefully this tutorial helped you guys out with that. And I hope you guys ended up having fun watching this today. If you learned a little bit, drop me a comment down below. I actually like seeing that you guys learned something from the tutorial. Drop me some ideas down below. Hit that like button. And super important, hit that subscribe button. Probably about 20 to 30%, 30 to 40% of you guys are subscribed that are watching this video probably. So hit subscribe so you can check out more videos on the Keep It Simple series. See you guys later. Goodbye.